Have you ever walked into someone's home and immediately felt calmer? Not because it was luxurious, not because it looked like something from a magazine, but because everything seemed effortlessly in place. The counters were clear, the floors were tidy, and the space felt peaceful. Most people assume those who keep their homes clean every day simply have more discipline. But psychology suggests something much more interesting. The real reason has less to do with cleaning itself and far more to do with how the brain responds to environment, identity, and control. And once you understand what's happening beneath the surface, you'll never look at a clean home the same way again. In this video, we'll explore what psychology reveals about people who consistently keep their homes clean. You'll discover how your environment quietly shapes your focus, why small acts of organization create a stronger sense of control, and how simple daily behaviors gradually become part of your identity. By the end, you'll see that maintaining a clean home isn't really about cleaning. It's about understanding the hidden psychological patterns that influence how we think, feel, and live. Most people think clutter is just a visual problem, something you notice for a moment and then ignore. But your brain doesn't work that way. Long before you're consciously aware of it, your mind is already processing the environment around you. Every pile of laundry, every stack of unopened mail, every dish left in the sink becomes another piece of information competing for your attention. Even when you're focused on something completely different, part of your brain is still registering those unfinished tasks. A jacket draped over a chair, shoes left by the door, papers scattered across a table. Individually, they seem harmless. Together, they create a subtle form of mental noise. This matters because attention is limited. The more distractions your brain has to filter, the harder it becomes to focus clearly. That's one reason many people describe feeling lighter, calmer, or more productive after cleaning a room. The change isn't only happening in the environment, it's happening in the mind. The brain suddenly has fewer things competing for its attention. When you walk into an organized space, there are fewer reminders of unfinished tasks, fewer visual interruptions, fewer signals demanding mental energy, and as a result, the environment feels easier to exist in. This is one of the first psychological traits often seen in people who maintain clean homes. Whether consciously or not, they've learned that their surroundings affect how they think. For them, keeping a space organized isn't just about appearance, it's about creating an environment that supports clarity rather than distraction. But attention is only part of the story, because the deeper reason some people keep their homes consistently clean has less to do with what they see around them, and more to do with what those actions make them feel. Think about how much of life is outside your control. Traffic, the economy, unexpected problems, other people's decisions. Every day, we're surrounded by uncertainty. And while we can't control most of it, there are certain things we can influence directly. Our environment is one of them. When you make your bed, wash the dishes, or clear a countertop, you're creating order in a part of your world that responds immediately to your effort. You take action and see a result. That may sound simple, but psychologically, it's incredibly powerful. People often feel stressed not only because life is difficult, but because they feel powerless. Small acts of organization push back against that feeling. They remind us that our actions still matter. They reinforce the idea that we can improve our circumstances, even in small ways. This helps explain why so many people experience a sense of relief after cleaning. The relief doesn't come solely from the clean room. It often comes from the feeling of competence that accompanies it. Something that was unfinished is now complete. Something that felt chaotic is now organized. Over time, these moments build confidence. Not dramatic confidence, quiet confidence. The kind that grows through repeated evidence that your actions can make a difference. And that leads us to the real secret behind people who keep their homes clean. Identity. Most people assume consistent behavior comes from motivation. They imagine organized people wake up every day excited to clean. But that's rarely how lasting habits work. The people who maintain clean homes aren't usually relying on motivation. They're relying on identity. At some point, the behavior became part of how they see themselves. Think about brushing your teeth. You probably don't debate whether you're going to do it. You don't wait until you feel inspired. You simply do it because it's part of who you are. The same thing happens with many long-term habits. When someone begins to see themselves as the kind of person who takes care of their environment, cleaning becomes less of a decision and more of a natural expression of that identity. This is important because human beings tend to behave in ways that align with their self-image. If someone constantly tells themselves, "I'm just a messy person," that belief influences countless small choices throughout the day. Items get left out. Tasks get postponed. Clutter slowly accumulates. But identity isn't fixed. It's built. Every action becomes evidence. Every time you put something away instead of leaving it out, you're collecting evidence. Every time you spend a few minutes restoring order to a room, you're collecting evidence. Every time you choose action over avoidance, you're reinforcing a different story about who you are. Eventually, the brain begins to accept that story. The shift happens gradually. You stop thinking, "I'm trying to be organized," and start thinking, "I am organized." That's when behavior becomes easier, because you're no longer fighting against your identity. You're acting in alignment with it. But identity alone doesn't explain why the habit becomes so sustainable. There's another factor involved: momentum. One of the most powerful aspects of cleaning is that it creates visible progress. Many goals in life take months before you see results. But cleaning offers immediate feedback. You start with a messy room. You finish with a clean room. The transformation is obvious, and the brain loves evidence of progress. That's why small wins matter so much. A made bed, a clear desk, a clean sink. These actions may seem insignificant, but they create a sense of accomplishment. They remind you that movement is possible. And once movement begins, it's often easier to keep going. One completed task leads to another. The desk gets organized, so it's easier to focus on work. The kitchen gets cleaned, so preparing meals feels easier. The room feels calmer, so relaxing becomes easier. Small actions create momentum, and momentum often creates motivation, not the other way around. This is why people who maintain clean homes often appear more consistent in other areas of life. They've developed a habit of following through. They've trained themselves to complete small actions rather than postpone them. And over time, that mindset spreads. But perhaps the most noticeable benefit of a clean environment is something even simpler: calm. Have you ever entered a clean room and immediately felt your shoulders relax? No analysis, no conscious thought, just a subtle feeling that everything is okay. Our brains are constantly scanning the environment for information. A cluttered space can feel mentally demanding because it presents dozens of competing signals at once. An organized space feels different. It feels predictable, manageable, easier to process. For some people, this effect is especially strong. They are highly sensitive to their surroundings and notice immediate changes in mood depending on the environment they're in. For them, maintaining a clean space isn't about perfection. It's about protecting their peace of mind. And that's an important distinction. People who keep their homes clean aren't necessarily trying to create a flawless environment. More often, they're preserving a feeling, a sense of calm, a sense of order, a sense that their surroundings are helping rather than hindering them. So what does psychology actually reveal about people who keep their homes clean? Not that they're perfect, not that they're naturally more disciplined, And not that they've figured out some secret that nobody else knows. More often, they've learned that their environment influences their mind. They've discovered that small actions create a sense of control. They've built habits that reinforce a positive identity. And through repetition, those habits have become automatic. A clean home isn't the result of endless motivation. It's the result of small choices repeated consistently over time. One dish put away. One surface cleared. One room left slightly better than it was before. Individually, these actions seem insignificant, but together, they shape the environment you live in, and, in many ways, the person you become. Because in the end, a clean home isn't really about the house. It's about creating a space that supports the life you want to live. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. What's one small habit that instantly makes your environment feel better? And if you're interested in more insights about psychology, habits, and human behavior, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.